Daniel Andrews is defending an increase in the number of Victorian government departments, claiming it will make his public service more efficient. Let's go live to our Victoria political reporter, Simon Love. Simon, Daniel Andrews says that this all makes sense in terms of smoothing and making the dealing with the public service in Victoria an easier process. Explain that to us.
So ultimately, he believes that consolidating all the HR, the back office functions of each of the government departments into a new government department, if you can follow along there, called the Department of Government Services. He believes that will be the best use of government resources. But one of the interesting ministerial moves that he made was taking the ambulance services portfolio away from the Health Minister, Mary-Anne Thomas, who was among a number of ministers being re-sworn in to the Andrews government's cabinet. There are two new faces in the cabinet, Natalie Suleiman and Enver Erdogan, both taking on portfolios. But here was the Premier defending moving ambulance services to another minister, Gabrielle Williams, and why that move's been made.
I think it's fair to say that with such a big health infrastructure agenda, it is appropriate to split those. But again, in terms of if you want to judge whether it's been a success or not, then I'd point to the facts of the matter. Just prior to COVID, we were in a very strong position and we're all determined to get back there. Just as, can I say, premiers in New South Wales and Queensland and right across the country, they're keen to get back to that as well. And health will be something we talk about at the National Cabinet meeting and the First Minister's dinner tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to a very positive discussion.
So I'll just quickly whip through some of the big changes. Lizzie Blanthorne taking on disability, ageing and carers. She's no longer the planning minister due to a potential perceived conflict of interest involving her brother's business dealings. Colin Brooks takes on housing, multicultural affairs. Enver Erdogan, corrections, youth justice. Natalie Suleiman takes on veterans, small business. Over the page, we see Danny Pearson picking up that portfolio of government services and the top of that new government agency. And with the SEC a big focus for the government, Lily D'Ambrosio, she gives environment over Ingrid Stitt, and she'll become the energy minister and the minister responsible for building that SEC. We mentioned the health changes earlier. The other interesting things is Melissa Horne returning to a transport portfolio of roads and road safety. And Harriet Shing, who's not yet been confirmed in the upper house, she'll take on the Commonwealth Games legacy after Sean Lean departed the cabinet, and he'll head back to the upper house presidency, it seems.
And Simon, you're already hearing reaction from the public service to the changes. What's been some of the fallout?
So ultimately going from 9 departments to 10 and ultimately a reshuffling of the decks. As we bring up some of the new department names, there's slight name changes. This happens quite regularly with machinery of government changes. The Department of Transport gains planning as well, purely because Daniel Andrews wants all the planning functions to be in under that bureaucracy. The Department of Government Service, one of the big reactions here in Melbourne this afternoon has been abbreviating that department to the word dogs, but certainly the government hopes that it's known as DGS instead. So interesting to see a few of the machinery of government changes there, Kieran. It certainly keeps the public service up at night, but I don't think it's going to ultimately affect government services too much for the people of Victoria.
Simon, thank you. Talk to you soon.